That morning, amidst the rigid and uncompromising chaos of military training, an incident occurred that shook many hearts, not because of a physical attack or extreme drills, but due to an unexpected moment. BTS's Jungkook cried, a silent, restrained cry, yet full of meaning. In front of him, his groupmate and fellow trainee, Park Jimin, lay weak in the military hospital. This event not only caused a stir at the 5th Division base where they were stationed, but also shocked millions of armies around the world, who could only wonder in silence. What really happened? On the surface, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Just the usual morning routine, soldiers waking up at dawn, quick breakfast, then straight to the training field. But behind that routine, there was one small detail that caught the attention of some keen eyes. Jimin was walking slower than usual, his steps heavy, his breath short. Some comrades noticed it, but no one expected that just minutes after the roll call started, the idol known for his agility on stage would collapse, forcing the medical team to be deployed swiftly. Internal sources stated that Jimin had been experiencing severe fatigue symptoms over the past few days. However, due to his dedication and discipline, he continued to push himself through every training session. Jungkook, who had noticed Jimin's physical decline from the beginning, had reported it to the trainers. But as typical of Jimin, who always put the group first, he refused to rest. The words Jungkook still clearly remembers. "If I stop, you'll have to work twice as hard. I'm okay. Let's finish this together." The day Jimin collapsed became a turning point. Soldiers who were usually focused on their own training targets suddenly fell silent. When the medical team took Jimin to the infirmary, Jungkook refused to leave. He sat in front of the medical room, declined further checkups, and simply said, "I'm here. I won't leave until I know he's okay." Jungkook's tears weren't an emotional outburst like we've seen on stage during victory speeches. They came in the form of moist eyes, a restrained voice, and a tight grip on the hand of his weakened friend. Nurses and doctors witnessed the moment in silence. Even a young soldier remarked, "We thought they were just celebrities, but that day we saw two genuine humans. Their friendship is real." The military hospital became a center of attention. There was no official statement from the military, no confirmation from big hit music. Media was barred entry. However, armies began to grow uneasy, especially after news spread that Jimin was suffering from severe dehydration, intense muscle tension, and chronic fatigue. Conditions that can occur when one pushes their body too hard under intense military routines. Jungkook, known as one of the most energetic and passionate members, completely changed after the incident. He refused to return to the barracks. He chose to sleep in a hospital chair, staying by Jimin's side every night. He even skipped dinner several times, just to remain beside his friend. Armies, learning of this through snippets from various sources, began expressing admiration for the unbreakable bond between these two BTS members. 2 days after the incident, the 5th Division commander announced a surprising decision. All soldiers would undergo a new round of health evaluations, and training would be adjusted based on each individual's physical condition. Specifically for Jimin and Jungkook, they were given a special recovery schedule and intensive monitoring. In his speech, Colonel Han said, "This decision isn't because they are celebrities, but because they are soldiers with extraordinary spirit who should not be allowed to fall." Applause echoed through the main hall. No one expected that two megastar figures could be so grounded and blended into the harsh world of the military. Even the trainers began to treat them not just as idols doing their military service, but as real examples of resilience and loyalty. As this article is written, Jimin's condition is reportedly improving. Doctors estimate he'll be able to resume light training within the next 2 weeks. Jungkook himself is in prime condition, but still chooses to follow the recovery schedule alongside Jimin. "My training is here beside him," he replied briefly to a nurse who asked if he wanted to return to the barracks. This story doesn't end at the hospital. It is a portrait of the deep bond between two humans who have shared the global stage, now supporting each other in a world far from the spotlight. military training. Behind the barricades, without camera flashes, they prove that loyalty and true love don't require a big stage. Just a chair beside a hospital bed, a hand to hold, and the will to stay. Now, armies can only wait. Wait for good news. Wait for their recovery. And wait for the moment when these two figures stand together again. Not just on stage, but as two friends who have endured the most human of trials: loss, fear, and loyalty. However, after all these emotional stories, from Jungkook's silent tears to the military's heartfelt decision, an important question arises that cannot be ignored. Did all this really happen? Or is this a dramatic narrative crafted to spark sympathy and public attention? In today's fast-paced digital age, we live in a blurred reality between fact and fiction. Short TikTok clips, fan-based posts on Twitter, YouTube narratives styled like documentaries, even anonymous sources from online forums, all hold incredible influence. But how far can we trust this information? Many of us, especially armies, immediately get swept up emotionally when reading or watching such news. Who wouldn't be touched seeing Jungkook, known for his strength and cheer, sitting in a hospital waiting room for his friend? But the underlying question is, are we seeing this with our hearts or with critical eyes? Why hasn't there been an official statement from the military? Why hasn't Big Hit Music issued a clarification or even a short update on Jimin's condition? And if this really is just a health issue within a military setting, how did the story reach the public in such a cinematic narrative? Maybe it's time we start asking, is this story too perfect to be true? Are we being part of a scripted emotional scenario designed to stir feelings, but not grounded in fact? Who benefits if this story goes viral? The media? The fan base? The agency? Or the public itself, hungry for emotional drama? We acknowledge that the information in this article is gathered from unofficial sources, from TikTok videos, Twitter threads, YouTube snippets, and lengthy fan discussions on international forums. None of these can be categorized as final or journalistically validated information. Therefore, we emphasize, think critically. Don't accept things at face value. Ask yourself, do I believe this story because of solid facts, or because I want to believe it? Are my emotions being played by a beautifully arranged storyline that might not even be real? We live in an era where anyone can be a newsmaker. A short video, taken from a certain angle and sprinkled with emotional narration, can become truth in the eyes of millions within hours. But can we, as readers and viewers, still filter what's real from what's sensational? This doesn't mean we accuse the story about Jimin and Jungkook of being a hoax. No. On the contrary, we want to invite you to engage in dialogue, to not just absorb, but also process information consciously and responsibly. Because only in that way can we become a healthy community, both as fans and as intelligent members of the digital society. We know Jungkook and Jimin have always been close, even before BTS took the world by storm. We know how they take care of each other behind the scenes, and the fact that they're now serving the military together gives plenty of room for stories like this to grow. But is their closeness enough to make all these circulating details true? How many of you have searched for concrete evidence of this event? Do we have official photos from the military? A written statement from the agency? Or at least a report from a reputable major media outlet? If not, are we ready to accept that we might be drawn into an emotional narrative that isn't necessarily accurate? Even more concerning is how stories like this can affect fans' psychological well-being. Some armies may feel anxious, even traumatized, upon hearing that their idol is unwell. But if the story turns out to be not entirely true, who takes responsibility for the emotional impact? Once again, we're not saying this story is false, but we urge all of you to think twice, to question more deeply, and to not immediately believe everything that touches your heart.